morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about decorators and inheritance. Right. Our main topic today we are going to discuss about inheritance. Right. Just before inheritance, I want to discuss some few more topics. Right. The one is decorator and the other one is access modifier. Okay. Okay. See now, what is a decorator? Right. For starters, just consider decorator is a function, right? Decorator is a function. We have seen what is a function, right? We have seen that how to create function. Okay. Okay, so decorator is a function, a simple function, right? But there is something else about decorator. Okay. Let's first see an example. See, we have one decorator that is known as cats. Okay, that is cats. Catch memory. Okay, I think some of you may have heard about the term cache. Okay, so this particular decorator is present inside a particular library, and that library is known as func tools. Okay, from func tools import cache, right? Yeah. Now see, this is a syntax of writing a particular. This is a syntax of writing a particular uh, decorator. Okay, after a decorator it is must to provide either a function or a class. In this case we are going to see how to use decorator with a function. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so yes, we are talking about cache, right? The first thing about cache is that, see, if you guys have heard about cache, then cache is generally used for something where you have to store some data, right? You have to create a table and store some type of data. Okay, now what is cache? See, whenever we create a function, we gives the output to the function, and then it will produce you the, sorry, we give the input to the function and it will produce the output. It will do some calculation on that particular input, right? Now what this cache will do, it will create a memory table, right? It will create a memory table, and inside this table what cache will do, it will map for each value of input, it will map the value of output, right? We will see the practical demonstration, but just let's understand the theory. So what, the next time if you are calling the function with the same set of parameters, with the same set of arguments, right, same values, then instead of the request is going to the particular function, the request will go to the table, right? And this table will send this particular result. It is not going to run your code inside the function. Okay. Okay, let's see the example. Suppose you have a function add. Okay, a comma b, we have to print hello here. Let's do inside function. Okay, and let's return a plus b, right? We need a result to store the data. Add, let's call add with 1 and 2. Let's print result, right? See, if I will do python test.py, see, inside function, see, the first line of the function is inside function, and after that it will return the particular value. That value will be printed. Okay, Okay, let's copy this. It's this time call it with 10 and 20. Okay, this time it's 20 and 30. One more time. This time let's repeat the value. Repeat the value of 20, 10 and 20. See, this particular call and this particular call are repeated, right? Then again, let's do 11 and 20. See the outputs. See, in this case, in this particular case, in this particular case, we got the answer 3 for the call for 1 and 2. We got the answer 30 for the call of 10 and 20. We got the answer 50 for the call of 20 and 30. In this case, see, it it represents that this particular function is not called for this particular function call. Why? Because inside function is not written here. This particular line is never executed. If line 5 is not executed, it means line 6 is never executed. Okay, so what this time what the catch function will do, it will grab that particular value, from the table, right? This particular output, once you have provided a new output to the catch, the particular function, that output is mapped with the returned result, right? And the next time when you are going to repeat, the next time when you are going to call this, use this particular same values, then this time the table will return the results, not the function, right? That's why inside function is not here. Okay, let's try to call this 1 and 2 again. Yeah, let's do this. See, in this case also, just the result, the return value, the result is returned, and the function is not executed. Inside function is not present in this case also. So one of the major drawback of using catch is that it uses some extra memory, right? It consumes some extra memory. Suppose your function is called, suppose like 1,000 times, right? So it will create 1,000 different blocks for different inputs, right? Yes, it is very handy if some of you are doing competitive programming or any other thing where you have to access the particular output from a function in a very, you can say, by spending very less amount of time, right? So in time complexity of big of 1, in that case you can use catch, but one of the drawback is that it uses some extra memory, right? Okay, we have seen catch. Now similar to catch, we have one more decorator which we can which we will which we always use inside, yeah, which we always use inside our class, right? So guys, we have talked about that there are two types of attributes, right? A class attribute and an object attribute. Okay, we have a class attribute and we have an object attribute. Okay, so class attributes is inside class. Each and every object of that class will access this same attribute. Object attribute is only accessible by that object, right? Now, what about a function? What about a method? A method we define inside the class is again accessible by the objects. Okay, each and every object can call this method, right? So there is one thing we are going to use, that will, let's say, class, we have some class student, right? University. Okay, and suppose let's create constructor. Let's give it name of self or name of the student, that name. Okay, and let's have and let's create university, and let's create one more self dot university. So this university is a class level attribute, okay, and this particular university is an object level attribute, right? Now suppose let's create an object. name university, right? Let's create some student two. Yeah. So if I will print the value of student one dot university, it will print this particular university, right? This ABC. What will I do to get this particular university to access this class level attribute? We will use class name, right? In this case, we will get the value of class level university, right? Now, similar to this, suppose you have a display function and it will print self dot name only. Let's go with name only. Okay. And you have one more display function, and this time we are going to use a uh, yeah, this time we are going to use a particular decorator, and that will be static method. Okay. In this case, let's define not please don't rename a function. I mean, name the give the same name to different function inside a class, right? This in this case, let's print it as info. Self print name or comma. Okay, let's invoke student one dot display. Let's invoke student one dot info. Okay. Now see, here we get an error, right? Because in this case, what we are going to do, we are trying to invoke this particular uh, function, this particular static method with the use of an object, right? So it is not allowed for a static method, right? A static method can only be accessed by using C. How you can call a static method student dot info, and let's pass student one. Okay, see. Um, we have created a university, right? Oh, sorry, spelling error. Yeah, see. So what we have get, see, the main motive of using a static method is that we have seen that a particular attribute is bounded to a class. Just um, observe the particular operation, how it is happening, how memory is bounded to a class, right? Binded with a class. Okay, this particular class attribute is always binded with a class. This class is having this common attribute which can be shared accessed by all other objects, right? In similar case, a class is having a particular static method, right? So what happened during a normal method, during this display, each and every type of a object will get a copy of this display, right? This object will get a copy of this display. If the object will invoke, it means use that particular provide a particular function call to this type of method, it will get a copy of that method, an instance of that method, right? But in case of static method, a object is not allowed to call a static method, right? In case of static method can be accessed by using a class, right? And in C, the difference, while you are use while you are calling a particular method, a particular normal method, right? A regular method inside a class, object name dot method. While calling a static method, you have to pass the particular object which you are using inside this static method. Right? You have to pass that particular object. It is mandatory to pass an object inside a static method, right? Okay. So what is the difference between a basic method and a static method? static method is binded with the class. Class operates on that static method. Student 1, student 2, student 3, whatever number of objects you will create, all of those objects will share this particular static method. Okay, none of them get a copy, all of them will share this particular method, right? And what is the use of a general method? Each and every object will get its own copy, right? Now, what is the particular, I mean, the need of this static method, right? We have the general type of method. There is no need for creating a static method. So if you go deep into Python, and if there is a time when you are working on a particular uh, multi-threading or a system where you have a shared type of memory, right? You have a shared type of memory. There are different types of memory in your operating system. Just leave that. You have a shared type of memory. Here you have an attribute, I mean a variable. Here you have a variable. Here you have a particular function. Now, suppose you have one object in one file, right? This is object one in file one, right? And create an object two in file two, right? All of them are in different files. By files, I mean that some of them are written in test and some of them are written in this test2 and test3 other function, other files, .py files. Okay. Now, this particular object is trying to access the same memory location, and this particular object is also trying to access the same memory location. This is the requirement of your code. To create such kind of scenarios where you have to allow multiple access of objects to the same shared memory location, you can use static method. Static method is one of the ways, right, where you can allow multiple access at a single time inside a memory location. Okay. Okay, just leave all those. Just remember that there is something known as static method which will be binded to the class. Now we have seen the decorators, cat and static. Let's move to access modifiers. See, now what is the access modifier? So, okay, let me tell you one thing. What is the use of class and objects? Class and objects are used to implement OOPS concepts, right? And what is the use of OOPS concepts? OOPS concepts are used to implement the real life scenarios in your coding problems, right? For example, if you want to implement a dog, implement a car, in that case, you will need a class. Class name is car, and it will hold all the attributes of that car. That is the car starts, the height of the car, the engine type, mileage, whatever. Okay. Now, see, suppose I'm going to create a class of the name bank, right? I have a class named bank. And if I have attributes of for saving the particular account number of a user, password of a user, the balance of the user, right? So we have seen that. Let's create a class bank. Okay, and let's in this case package, and we have imported catch, right? Okay. So let's define account number. What it will do, it will just return set dot account number. Let's self here this password self. And here we have one function name as authenticate, right? What this authenticate will do, when you will put your password in your ATM machine, this authenticate will help you to check that the particular user who is using that ATM machine, that ATM card, is providing the correct password or not, right? So what it will do, it will call the password method. See, the use of this password method is only to provide you the password and nothing else, right? The use of this password method is to provide you the password and nothing else. Okay, now let's see if suppose, let's put the constructor here, separate password. first step of account. Yeah. Also, in this single example, we are going to discuss about many other things, right? Yeah. First thing that let's create, we have a person one, and it will create a particular account in bank. Okay, and let's give it a account number of and a password of, right. Now see this class, just okay, just try to understand here, everything is only based on only theory, right? Yeah. So suppose this particular code block is accessed by an user, right? The particular bank manager or whoever it is who is authenticated to do your to create your bank account, right? Suppose this another second one, this one is your particular some other uh, person outside the bank, okay, some third person, right? Okay, if this third person will print the value of person dot password, did I have created? Okay, guys, one more mistake. What I have done is that I have created a particular function and a attribute with the same name, right? So correct that one. Okay, if the person is able to call this particular password, what it will print? Let's first execute this one. Now this one. So this third person uh, should look at the first argument is your password. And the second argument is okay. Now see, this particular third person is able to access your password, right? And it is the responsibility of a programmer, the backend programmer, to hide this particular implementation. You have to hide this particular password. This password should be only available to the class, not to any third person, right? One more thing, if I will try to print person one dot just a password variable, then again I will get the password. So we have to come with some solution where we have to restrict these things, right? We have to restrict the access of the particular some particular variables or some particular methods outside the class, right? Okay, so suppose this is your particular class memory. What happen if we will create a particular small memory inside this class? Okay, and outside objects, right? Outside objects are allowed to access only the open memory area, the only the open area. Why to use self keyword? See, whenever there is a function, we provide the parameter list, right, the number of parameters we will want for the particular operation. Okay, now this self is again a parameter, and see, whenever you are calling a particular function with an object, this object will be passed to this particular self. This particular self will accept that object. So it is necessary to provide self inside each and every method you will declare inside your class. Okay, it is mandatory to provide self. See, the name is itself is not self. You can change this name to anything like AB or whatever you need, but it is a standard practice to use self, right? So whenever you call a particular method with this object, this particular object will be passed to this self. Okay, yeah. Now your object will be allowed to access this particular free space from outside the class, but this object is not allowed to access this restricted space. Okay, and this restricted space will be known as your private variables. Okay, private variables or private methods, whatever that is, right? Now, what is the particular scenario inside the class? Suppose inside the class you have a method, a particular method. So inside the class, a method can access anything. There is no restriction. When once you are inside the class, each and everything is public for you. There is no restriction on any access, right? But once you are outside the class, there are restrictions. You can only access whatever available on public space, right? Now see, up till now, whatever types of example we have seen till now, whatever types of attributes methods we have seen inside a class, everything is in public, right? Yeah, one more thing guys, if any one of you has already covered oops concept in other programming languages like C++ or Java, just forget about those concepts, right? In Python, inheritance and these access modifiers works differently. These are of different concept in Python. Okay, so now see, this get password method and this particular password variable is of very, you can see that very sensible data, right? We have to restrict the third person, the outside objects, to access this particular data, to access this particular variables. To convert any particular variable, public variable, to restricted, or you can say private variable, to convert any public variable to private variable, just provide double underscore in front of that variable. Okay, in this case, this password is converted to a private variable, right? Just put a double underscore here, and in class of methods, just put double underscore there, right? So it will be converted to private method. This is our private attribute. See, now if I will try to access a particular password or particular method, see what we will get. We will get an error, right? The object is a third party object or whatever type of an object is never allowed to access private data or private methods outside the class, right? But see, this function, this our yeah, let me change this here also, and it will be my password, it will be get password. Yeah. So this authenticate method is inside your class, right? So this authenticate method has the ability, has the power to access that particular private method or private attribute, right? But objects outside your class have no access to these particular types of attributes or methods, private attributes or methods, right? So with this example, you have seen that how to create private methods and what are their use, right? How to access them, right? You can access them from inside the class, not from outside the class. Now, in some case, if there is a case where you have to print the particular, you have to get that particular password, right? If you are, suppose you are an authenticated person, if you are a bank manager and you want to check that particular password, right? In that case, you have to define another method which will just call this particular password, right? And here just return that particular value, right? In this case, now person one, the object, right? Any third person, in this case, any third person is allowed to call this display password. Okay. Okay, sorry, I have to execute this block again. Yeah. In this case, you will access the password. So I think you guys can get a rough idea that if you have to access a particular private variable outside the class, then you have to create one more method, public type of method, right? Because this all method inside a class have access to each and everything. If you are inside a class, you have access to each and everything, right? Okay, now let's move on. Because if you are having any doubt, then put that on the chat. Yeah, okay. So we have seen access modifier. Now we are going to discuss about a particular, you can say that it is only theory, a particular structure, a pattern, that how to develop a class, how to use a class, how to develop a class. And by moving through this particular structure, right, this blueprint, we will discuss about inheritance inside this, right? So see, just hear me out carefully. Suppose nowadays we are using smartphones, right? We have smartphones. Okay. Before this smartphones, we were using some that button phones, right, with keypad, right? Before that keypad one, we were using landlines, right? And before this landlines, there is nothing, right? The first thing that phone industry have ever seen is a landline, right? So see, this is generalization. Moving back to your core is generalization. See, each and every type of phone, either it is a smartphone, a keypad one, or the landline, has some similarities. That the first thing is that you can dial numbers. The second thing is that you can make a call. Okay. In keypad also you can dial numbers and you can make a call. Smartphones also you can make a call and you can dial numbers. Right. Now, this is generalization, right? Each and every one of them are having some type of similarities, which will be, you can say that, passed down from their ancestors, right? The previous one has passed down this ability to the new one and something like that, right? So this type of scenarios are known as generalization, right? Now, we have some more specific features with a keypad one. That is, you can save a particular number, right? And you can send messages. Okay. Now we have more specific. See, these things are also present inside your smartphones, right? You can save a number and you can particularly send messages, right? And we have, suppose, we have some special more things like you can access a internet browser, you can click photos, you can save, you can send emails, right? So those are some specific functions, some special functions specific to your smartphones. Okay. Yeah. So see, these specific function which are special to that particular class, right? These specific functions which are special to a particular class. So this is in this direction when you are moving toward from a general class to a special class, a class which is special in, on its own, right? Having some special attributes or some special methods, some special powers. In that case, that is known as specialization, right? Generalization and specialization concepts. See, all these phones are having in general is that they can make calls, okay, and they can dial phone numbers, right? And some of them are having specific, some of their specific features. Okay, so let's move with this. Suppose you have a class car, right? This is a very, you can say that, very basic example. Everyone uses this example only, right? We have the topic is, yeah, so we have a class. Okay, let's move on with phones only. We have a class on phone landline, right? Now, see, you can either write with this type or this. Everything is allowed after Python 3.0 and above. Okay, inside this we have some functions, that is it can make call, right, itself. Whenever in Python, if you are not think of that particular method, or to put a code block there, just to remove errors, use pass keyword. Okay, if I won't provide any pass, we will get an error, because Python is expecting a code block here, number of lines of code, a statement here, right? Instead of that, just provide a pass. Okay, we will implement this function. Let us just first see the structure. Make a call, right? We have a function that is, okay, just leave it to make a call. Dialing a particular number will come under this only. Yeah. Now we have a class that will be a keypad one, right? Inside this we have save contacts, right? This is a special feature for that particular class. Okay. Inside this class, you can again implement, because you can make a call inside your keypad, right? Okay. Now inside class smartphone, you can make a call, you can save contacts, you can have access browser, send mail, make video calls. I think this one's will be enough. Yeah. Okay, now let me know one thing. See, this phone is making a call, this phone is making a call, and this phone is again making a call. Is there is any difference? You dial a number and you will make a call, right? That is the uh, you can say the fundamental requirement. This landline will dial a number and it will make a call. The keypad will dial a number and it will make a call. The smartphone will dial a number and it will make a call. So instead of defining a particular thing again and again, this will be the same logic. You will dial a number and it will make a call of the same logic. So instead of doing that thing again and again, right? What we will do? We will try to use the particular which was defined earlier, right? In this case, we are going to use a particular concept of hooks that is known as inheritance. Right, inheritance will be always applied to apply the concept of apply the paradigm, the structure of generalization and specialization, right? See, this is how to this is the syntax to provide inheritance. Okay, just write the name, that's it. Okay. Now smartphone is not going to inherit landline. Why? I mean, you can do that, but we have one more good option, right? See, keypad is saving a contact. Saving contacts means you are saving a particular number. In smartphone, you are again saving a particular number. There is no big difference, right? So in this case, it will inherit keypad, right? Now let me tell you what is going on. We have seen this one, okay? Now see, there are some common values here, right? There are some common values here. Okay, there are some common values with the ancestor. I mean, the general forms are also there, right? So instead of defining one thing again and again, right? What we will do, we will inherit those things, right? And let's define the particular specific thing inside the class. The class, the specific use of that class. Okay, we have provided like the particular save function inside that keypad. We have provided access browser or whatever things inside, send emails inside our smartphones. Now whenever there is a requirement of making a call, what your smartphone will do, it will function make call which is defined inside that landline. Okay, now how that will happen? See, what we are going to do, uh, whenever there is a requirement of saving a contact, your smartphone will access the particular method inside your keypad. And whenever the requirement of a keypad mobile is to call, it will access the particular method of the landline, right? So how come the particular smartphone will get the ability to make a call? Because we are not inheriting landline, right? We are not inheriting landline inside smartphone, right? So see, okay, so this particular picture is only for specialization and generalization purpose, right? See how a particular inheritance looks like. This is your smart phone. Okay, this is your keypad, and this is your landline. So this is how the memory allocation for inheritance will occur, right? A particular object of this particular landline class, sorry, smart class, sorry, smartphone. Object of smartphone will be able to access each and everything inside any of the class. Okay, see what I mean. Suppose make a call. Let's provide a print statement here. Okay, let's create an object of smartphone one, right? And let's print, not print, let's call smartphone one dot make call. See, smartphone one is calling this particular function inside landline. And how that happens with this concept? Your particular object can access any element inside your particular class, inherited class, right? Now, just there are some technical terms. Okay, that is, keypad will be known as base class or parent class for smartphone, right? Landline will be known as an ancestor class for smartphone. Okay, these are just technical terms and nothing else, right? For keypad, the base class or the parent class will be landline. Okay, so this is a proper example of implementation of a generalization process. Right? Now, instead of doing only keypad, you can do a landline here also, right? And it makes no difference. Okay. Now, what happens right now? Okay, this is an example. This diagram is for when we are inheriting one by one, right? Now we have some other scenario. See, this is your smartphone. This is your keypad, and this particular one is your landline. This particular one is your landline, right? Then again, a particular object is allowed access. A object of smartphone, right? Object of smartphone is allowed access to anything inside that particular class. Okay. Now see, no, it is not true vice versa. Okay, what I mean that if I will create a landline, right, then this landline cannot call this particular access browser function. Okay, right, we will get an error. Okay, so there is one more thing. So how this inheritance is working? We have a class landline, we have a class phone, we have a class smartphone. That was our first example. We have a class landline, we have a class keypad, we have a class smartphone. In this case, each and everything is inherited one by one, right? This is known as multi-level inheritance. There are types of inheritance, 5 types. This one is known as multi-level inheritance. Okay, yeah. Now this one is known as hierarchical inheritance, right? There are conditions where we have seen that we have a smartphone, right? We have a smartphone, and we have a keypad, and we have our current condition. This particular example, our smartphone is accessing both keypad and landline, right? So our smartphone is trying to inherit both particular keypad and landline. This type of inheritance is known as multiple inheritance. Okay. Now there comes a condition, particular inheritance, which is the combination of hierarchical and multiple, right? In this case, this one is inheriting this one. This one is again inherited by some other class, and this particular single class is inheriting both of these class. This is known as hybrid inheritance. This condition. There is one more. The simplest one is that if class A is inherited by class B, that's it. This is known as single inheritance. Okay. Okay, guys. So there is, you can say that you have to study each and every inheritance in deep. There are some, you can say that you have to take care of some special things while using some different types of inheritance. One of the most, you can say that, dangerous one, the most error prone one, is to using a hybrid condition. Okay, right. So we are not going to cover hybrid in this session, right? Now let's uh, talk about more on inheritance only. Okay? Let's see the particular use. Okay, just let me know if you guys are having any doubt till now, or otherwise we will be going to jump on a simple project, simple implementation of inheritance only. Task is very tough. Which task? Say I'm not aware which type of task you are assigned with. So let me know the particular task. Okay, let me know the task. I will try to implement that particular task here only in the class, in the session. Okay, just a part of that task. The name of the task, not the number. What we need to do, what is the task, the particular problem statement, anything. Okay, so see, I'm well aware, guys, that this much explanation for an inheritance is not enough to cover all the inheritance topics and everything. Okay, but let's just try to implement these things, whatever we have done till now, using a project. Okay, suppose let's implement a project on. Yes, someone was talking about some ATM simulator. So instead of ATM simulator, let's implement it on our a bank. Okay, let's go with bank.py. So this is our particular project file. This is going to be our particular project file. Okay, yeah. Now instead of a project file, whenever you are going to create a particular project in Python, just first create your project directory, a particular project folder. Okay, right? Inside this project directory, first of all, create main.py, your main function, right? Now, what is this main function? So I have told you again and again when I was doing debugging that the particular Python program always starts running from a main. Okay, so this is a correct hierarchy of the, you can say, standard hierarchy of creating a particular project in Python. Okay, just type if what is the meaning of this particular if condition? It tells you that whenever your project will be running from the particular command line, then only your project will run. If some other code, like some other library code or some other type of code is trying to execute this particular project, then this project will not execute. Okay, so this is the meaning of this particular line. Okay, if name is double equal to main, because main is given to that command line. Yeah. Now we are going to implement the banking, right? So first of all, we need a file where we will implement each and everything about a bank, the requirement of the bank, the requirement of the person. Let's do bank.py. Okay, inside this bank, let's create a class. Yeah. Okay, so bank. Now, what a bank will do, it will do multiple things, like will give you like how to open IPY. See, for using a IPYNB file, you will need Jupyter Notebook. Okay, IPYNB can be accessed using Jupyter Notebook. Otherwise, you can install particular extensions in VS Code to use IPYNB, Jupyter-like environment. This one, is Jupyter one, right? Okay. Now, what bank will do? So, bank will you will visit a bank to check your particular balance, right? We will write the logic at last. First, let's create a particular structure. Okay, so there is a theoretical concept of a particular method inside a class that is known as uh, getter and setter methods. Okay, so what are getter and setter methods? So this one, okay, not now. I think we will need. So what is getter and setter method? Methods are something which can only return value. It never accepts anything. Okay, there are no parameters, no arguments. Okay, setter methods are something which cannot return anything, but it receives, right? So these are basically just theoretical concepts. There are nothing special keywords in Python for getter and setter. So you have to just implement these theoretical concepts here, right? Use getter and setters. Now to get balance, it will display you the particular balance of the user, right? Now we need set balance. Okay. Now let's define string and it will return information about a user. What type of information we need in a bank? The information we need are what type of information a particular, suppose you have a bank account, what type of information you will have. First thing is that account number. Okay, then we will have uh, balance. Now guys, instead of using self dot balance, I mean instead of creating a particular attribute, let's call our get balance method. This is the use of this method. It will only return you the particular balance. In this example, again, we are going to see the implementation of how to connect a particular class, a particular Python file with your database, right? Backend database. And in database, I'm going to use PostgreSQL. You can use anything, right? There is no issue with that. Now we have, sorry, we have account number, balance. What else do we need? Oh, important thing. We need the person's name. See, this particular string line is very large. It is not getting into on screen, right? Now, instead of using a particular double quotes, we will be using triple quotes, right? Inside this triple quotes, you can write multi-line strings. Okay, remove this one. Yeah. Now this will be treated as a multi-line string. Okay. Yes. So why we use string method? We use string method just to print the particular values, right? Okay. Now, some important bank methods. Those will be our deposit. Yeah. Okay. Now we need one more thing, that is our database connection. Let's create db.py. Instead of creating a db.py file, you can create a particular new class here. But in this case, let's create a database. Okay. Don't do anything. Let's first create a constructor inside of it. Let's create a browser. Okay. So listen, guys. Whenever you are connecting to a particular database, this is the typical theory. This is the typical things connection which is going at backend. Okay. Suppose this is your database, right? We have a connector in middle, right? Your Python file is never going to contact do operations with your database directly. It is not allowed, right? Your Python file will send request to open a communication channel with to establish connection with database to the particular middleware, the particular middleman, that is your connector, right? And after creating all its transaction, after running all SQL queries, your Python file will give a particular command to close this connection to the connector, right? In this particular class, what I'm going to do inside this constructor, I'm going to establish the particular connection, and inside this close function, I'm going to close that particular connection. Okay. Now, whenever you are going to develop any project, okay, going to create any project, first of all, especially in Python, always try to create a particular virtual environment, right? And now what is virtual environment? So I will suggest that Google that, find some answers there. Right? We have sample project. Yeah, we are inside our sample project directory. Now let's create a particular virtual environment. You can use multiple types of libraries. There are multiple Python libraries available to create virtual environment. You can download any type of library, Python library by using pip command, right? Pip pipenv. This pipenv is a type of library, Python library, which will help you to create virtual environment. I use pipenv, right? Okay, and this pip is a particular Python command. The command it is a command which helps you to download or install any type of Python library. Okay, so I have already installed pipenv, right? That's why it is not there. Okay, so just pip install pipenv. This one is the correct command, right? Just forgot to put install there. I've already installed pipenv, so that's why I'm getting that requirements already satisfied, right? Okay, so you have pipenv double dash version. This will tell you the particular version of any library or anything you are using from command line, right? Okay. Now, from this point onward, I'm going to use pipenv, not pip, right? To install anything or to use anything, I'm going to use pipenv. First of all, let's create a particular virtual environment, and cell is the command to create a particular virtual environment using pipenv, right? If I will press enter, it will take some time and it will create a particular virtual environment for me, right? Okay, so it will take some time. Okay, so it's done. Now, how to check that if you have created a virtual environment or not? You will get a pip file here, right? This pip file will contain the versions of packages you are using, the version of Python you are using. If there is need to download any different types of library, this will hold the data about that, metadata about that library, right? One thing we will need is pipenv install. This particular is the connector for PostgreSQL in Python, right? Okay, let's move on. The database, right? We have installed the connector. We have installed this particular connector. Now let's establish the connection. Okay, first import. See, go to this particular search option in VS Code, right? Provide greater than, then select interpreter. If you have created a virtual environment, every virtual environment has its own copy of Python interpreter. We are not going to use the global one, right? We are going to use that particular which we have just created using that pipenv cell, right? And we have, wait, we have received. Okay, yeah, we have one more. Say this is the sample project one. Let's load that one, and this error will be gone, right? Okay. Okay, if you guys are following me till now, then let me know if you are having any doubt about anything that PPNV or what is a virtual cell, virtual environment or anything. Okay, if you are getting a yellow symbol like this, which will be telling you that there is some error in loading a particular environment, delete that, and then again start PPNV cell. Okay, it will relaunch the cell for you, right? You will, if you are using Git Bash or Linux like environment, then you will get this particular name. Okay. Let's use this. Yeah, that's good. Okay, no doubts. Now see how to connect. First of all, we need a particular variable to store this connection. We need a particular variable to store this connection, right? So let's create that variable, self dot connection variable. Now, how to create a connection? So inside this particular library, we have a method named as connection. Okay, sorry, self. Now, if you are using any type of database, if you have installed in your system, you have a command line for that database, right? Just open that command line, right? See, the first thing, that is the server. Okay, this server data, I am using localhost. Every one of you are, I think, using localhost. If you are using your system, the database is in your laptop or computer, then the host will be localhost, right? Okay, guys, we have always talked about that calling up function, right? We have seen function calls, right? This 10, 11, 12, or something like that. When you are going to develop a particular work on a particular project, you will never see this type of calls. You will always see this type of parameterized call, where you have to provide the particular argue the parameter name and then the value, right? This type of calls. So for host, we have local host, right? Okay, the next thing, the database, right? So we have a database, not this database, we have a name. And this will be, we have Postgres, Postgres, right? You can write it here by changing it, no problem. What else we need? We have DB name. We need one more thing, that will be user. Okay, we have a user. Now, what is our user? Okay, before user, we will also need a port. Pass everything as a string, right? 5432. You may have different ports. Your database may have using different ports. This is your user. Username will be your user. Okay, and particular password. You have to also pass the particular password. Okay, now it's format. Okay, so what this will do, this connection, this particular on variable is going to hold your particular connection, right? Okay, now there are some more things that will be self dot one dot cursor equal to, let's create one more variable, cursor. Now, what is this cursor variable? So you are seeing this line, this particular line, which is requesting for a particular connection. Okay. After this line, you will need a particular connection channel, right? A channel where you can write some queries and that query will be executed on the database, right? That particular channel is known as cursor. Okay. That is this cursor is, right? And from where did you get this particular cursor? This cursor will be inside your connection. That's why I'm using self.connection.cursor. Okay. There is one more thing. If you guys have ever gone through database DBMS, then you have heard of AutoCommit. So, right. autocomment is something just with that. Now, during closing process, first thing you have to close the particular cursor, then you have to close the connection, right? So self dot cursor close, and after this we have self dot connection dot close, right? So we have successfully established our particular connection with the database, right? Now let's move to our main. We have seen that how to implement, how to use a particular library, right? We have seen how to use a particular module with another file from db import database. Inside name, we are going to create an object of database that will be, let's name it as db manager, right? Database. Now, inside our database, we have provided all the values, right? So instead of providing these values here, you can pass them as an argument inside your constructor. That is your choice, right? Passing them as inside your constructor will be a very good practice. Okay. So let's pick them from here. Pass them from here. We have values. Okay. And this build like this. Okay. We have a DB name. Instead of the value, provide the particular variable. We have each user. Instead of a particular value, provide the variable. We have a password. We have a port. Okay. For right. Student is for last comma. Right. We have passed a particular all these values from our constructor. Right. Now, guys, it is not a very good practice to provide your passwords like this in any project. Okay, if you are working on a particular virtual environment, right, use .env file, .env file. Okay, inside any .env file, this much is only to connect from database, right? Whatever extra thing we are going to do, those are some standard practice to develop a project in Python, right? This much is enough to connect with your database and to do queries. Okay, now inside this .env, let's do export, and all these values will be stored inside this .env. Yeah. Okay, now how to get these variables inside here, right? So now, instead of these things, we have to access .env variables, right? Whenever you are doing a project, whenever I will post this project in my GitHub, right, these credentials will never going to be uploaded on the GitHub. Okay. Okay. So there is one more module, that is env install python dash .env. Right. This is a particular module. Okay. Now, it is install from dot env import load env, and let's load. Now what happened? All these variables are now loaded to my system. I mean to loaded to this inside this particular Python file. Okay. Now inside here, let's see how to use those variables. Let's see how to use this particular values. So what have we have? We have a host. We have to provide a host. So what we will do, we have to import one more, that is OS. OS will be already present in your Python, right? No need to install that. OS dot get env, okay, and pass the particular variable name like this, like this. Okay. So instead of doing these many things, let's me just do a copy paste with that. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay. So inside these values, okay, all these variables names are case sensitive, right? So let me make those as possible. Yeah, that's good. One more thing, we are passing to a variable named as database, but we have no database. It is named as DB, right? DB name. That's it. All other things are same, right? Right. Password, user, port, host, and anything else. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys, just give me a second. Let me configure my password. Okay. This password is not correct one. Okay, just give me a second to configure my password only. Right. Yeah. Let's move back. Now everything is there, right? There is no change in code. Okay, just provide your correct password there only. That's the thing. So we have established a connection, right? We have particularly established a connection. Let's try to run some queries, right? Now let's try to run some queries. Inside this particular table, let me create a particular database. Test. Okay. So we have no table inside this particular database test 001. I have just created a database named as test 001, and inside this one we are now inside our database. Let's first create a particular table, a particular view. Create table user. First one will be our, let's say what we will need. We will need a particular name, varchar. Let's give it a size of 50. What else we need? We have a name, we have a gender. That is again only character. There is no 3 characters. It is have 5. Others is also having 5. So the maximum, let's give it a 6 characters. Right. We have what other things we need? Account number, we have gender, we have account number, name, balance, right? As name, we have a balance. Let's make it double, right? Up to 16 digits and up to 2 decimal, right? Account number, we need account number. Account number, let's make it varchar. Account number can be of 13 digits, right? Instead of number or big int, I'm using varchar because the account number is going to be a very big number, right? So we cannot store that much number inside an integer. Okay, I think this is enough. Name, gender, account number. Name, gender, account number. Also, we need a password. Password. Varchar. Let's take maximum to. Okay. Now inside a bank we never need a password, but let's give it a size of 4. That will be enough. Use spelling mistakes. We need a amount, we need a password. I think now I'm not doing any spelling. Okay, let me start the PG admin. The command line is going to go take a lot more time, right? Yeah, one more thing, guys. Instead of going to a PG admin or anything like Oracle or anything else, right? You, you can control your particular database from VS Code only. Okay, I have Postgres. Okay, this one. Okay. See, for a demonstration purpose, I have these many particular database already. I have these many database, right? We have just created the particular bank one right now. Okay, let's create a new query here. Let's put all that back. Let me close this one. It is going to take a lot more time to load. Okay, so we have um, users. Inside users, we need name, type, var, char, size 30. Let's take name age. We have age or not. Name gender only. Okay. Gender character only up to 6 characters. What else we will need? What else we will need? We will need balance, and we need value double. Correct values, then why they are taking this? Yeah, we'll take it 13 as 2. Okay, so SQL is not case sensitive. So instead of capital letters, you can provide small one. No problem with that. Yeah. What we have, account number, and we need varchar size 13. We have a password, and we need a state varchar size, suppose 10. Okay, let's try to execute this one. Let's see if it's working or not. Okay. I think type double does exist instead of double four. Right now, let's take int only. We have a type double. Okay, just leave that. We'll figure out that later. Let's try to execute now. We have users inside bank. Yeah, we have users. Okay. So see, guys. Leave all those query parts. See, this is our particular database. Database name is bank, right? Inside that particular database, we have this particular table which is named as users, right? So let's try to write a query where we will get this ID, username, and all those things. Okay. So first of all, let's do inside this database manager. Let's try to write a query here only, right? After connection and everything. Let's create a query. See, let's create a query that would be select asterisk from users, right? Okay. To run this particular query, we need the cursor dot execute. We need query. Okay. And after this query, if it is returning some result, right? So what we will do? So I in that result will be returned to this particular cursor, right? Let's try to print this result. Okay. Now, okay, just give me a particular time, guys, instead of getting the where is that is this database name. Okay, let's try to execute Python .py. Okay, so we are not inside our project directory. Let's first go inside our project directory first. Inside CDI. Now we are inside our project directory. We have Python .py. Right now, see, We are getting an error because when we are setting this database name, we have passed Postgres, right? Instead of that Postgres, our database name is bank. Okay. Now see, all these details are the details of our user. All these details are the details of my user inside that particular database, right? So, okay, let me in the particular database. Actually, not this one. Let me run a query here only. Districts from users. Okay, run query. See, this is the particular name of all the users I have inside that database. Okay, and we are getting the same thing. The same particular values are here, right? We have a total of 23 rows. Okay, and we have all these values here, right? So this is how you can establish a particular connection. You can run queries inside Python. Okay, yeah. So that particular query is only for demonstration. Okay, there is no need like to see. Okay, if someone is taking notes, just note this very carefully. Whenever if there is anything, any result will be returned from that particular database, that result will be saved with cursor only. Okay, and all these self dot cursor and all those things, those are the concepts of class and objects. Now, dot execute, we will use dot execute to execute a particular query. Now, if you have a parameterized query, now what is a parameterized query? Suppose we don't know the name of this uh, particular table, right? And you ask user to enter that particular name. So this execute statement will change like this. Now, after this, the query which we want to execute, we have to pass all the values for whatever type of question symbol we have used inside that query. This question symbol will be replaced by the value we will pass inside this particular cursor, that execute method. Okay. One more thing, always pass this particular values, parameterized values, in the form of a tuple. To get the form of a tuple, I have told you that if you are passing only one value, always place a particular comma after the value to convert it to tuple. Right. This will again provide you the same result. Okay, wait. This one will be like not a comma, it will be percent s, not a question mark, it will be percent s. Question mark will be used in Python. Okay, and we have to remove the quotes again. We will remove the quotes. Put it inside some quotes then. We cannot directly pass a string. We can pass a string, but let's create a particular variable here only. Table name. This will be good. Let's pass that particular table name. Let's edit on see, you have okay. Let's see if we have users we need some values from some specific values. Suppose like where id equal to, let's take that id as 2. I think we don't have any id with 2, right? Let's take that id as 4. So see, it is working. Clear this. See, it is correctly working, right? That particular problem we are getting with that comma, with that is table name. It is passing table name as single quotes, and for that, let me pause. We will take raw. Okay. Okay, guys, just leave the username and the table name for now. If I'm doing some syntax error here, right? Let's work with what we have. We so this is how you can pass a particular value, a user input inside your database and inside your database query, right? So this type of queries where you are passing the particular input from the database, I mean from the user side, that particular types of queries are known as parameterized query, right? Now, okay, now let's talk about what we will do with this bank, how to establish connection and how to do things. So all these things are only for example, just remove these things from here. Yeah. Okay, let's take that bank from bank. Okay. What is the class name? Bank will be right. Let's create our first object. Inside this bank, let's pass this database manager. Let's create a particular constructor here. Now the first thing we are accepting is a DB manager. The second thing we will need is a name, not age, we have gender, then we have account number. Okay, let's see. Database manager, the name is pass first for particular gender is pass name, for particular account number is pass 1 3. Okay. Now, whenever we are initializing a particular account, right? Let's do one thing. First of all, let's create that particular account inside our database, right? For that, you have to consider the table structure of your user, right? Inside this particular user's table, the column structures are different, right? Whatever I have just used these parameters, we have some more parameters here, right? So instead of providing you a particular format, a particular output, I will only provide you the codes to understand, right? You can implement that code and try to get the output by yourself, right? Okay. Here, first of all, what we need a particular name, we need a particular manager, we need gender, we need and okay. Now, after this, what we need, we want to execute a query inside our database SQL query to create this particular new user, this new upcoming user. We want to create that particular account there, right? So how to pass these things? So our query will be insert, name it as users, right? Instead of double quotes, always use triple quotes. Okay, and we have, now we have queries insert into table users, and we have values as percent s, percent s, percent s, and percent s. How many values we have? Only three values, right? Yeah, one more thing we need. We need password. Okay. Now see, this is our query. We have to pass the values for all these percent s, right? Now let's do self dot database manager. See, inside this database manager, we have a particular uh, variable that is connection, right? Inside that connection, we use execute. Okay, and inside this execute, you will execute your query. Okay, and after this query, you will pass the values you have. That will be self dot name. We have self dot gender, and we have self dot count, and at last we have self dot master. Okay, pass the values in sequence with your particular column names, right? See, in my case, if I were using this particular users table, the first value I will provide is a user name. The second value I will provide is a user mobile number, account number, card number, account type, and current balance, something like that. Okay, so always pass the values in sequence as compared to your particular database, right? After this, it will create a particular user for you, a new entry for you. Okay, one more thing, instead of connection, you have to use cursor. Cursor will execute this, not connection. Yeah, because we always use cursor to execute. Okay, now this particular thing, it is a concept of class and objects, right? Inside this, see, okay, concentrate here. This self is the object of bank class. This database manager is the object of this particular database class. And inside this database class, we have a particular attribute, a variable that is named as cursor. So what we are doing, inside the bank object, we have a database object. Inside that database object, we have a cursor variable, and that cursor variable is always used to execute a function, execute our queries, right? So this is how a particular syntax will goes on. Now, if I will execute, I will get an error because the structure of my user, the structure of particular my user database is not like this. User table is not like this. But let me show you. See, okay, let me just demonstrate an example then. Okay, see guys, so I'm getting some syntax error that will be instead of table, it will be user. Okay. Yeah. Now the values I'm getting some syntax error and values error here. Why? Because my database is not accepting these values as I have to first pass username, mobile number, and something like that. Okay, and there are some constants also provided inside these databases, right? Other than that, I have some errors here are type integer. See, what I am getting an error, invalid text representation, invalid input syntax for type integer, right? My database is expecting an ID of type integer, right? But what I am I am giving a particular string that is hers, this string. So that's why I am getting an error. It means the connection is established, the query is executing, I am just passing some wrong values, right? So this is how you can create connections and do things inside your database. Implement all these, get balanced, set balance things. It will help you to understand getter and setters, right? Let's talk about one thing, that is, see, whenever I will execute this, I will get an error, right? And this error doesn't look so good. Okay, so informative to a user. If you are implementing this particular classes, then it will be good for you, but for a user, it is not that correct, right? So to do that, to handle these types of error, we use exception handling. This is another one more, you can say that, an advanced type of concept in Python, error handling, exception handling. Okay, what we will do, we will use particular try except block. Okay, right, except, right, set except, let's name it as exception as E. Just remember this one, exception as E. If you want to display, okay, we will see that's first. What I'm doing, I'm converting this E, this particular E, to string type here, right? Okay, what is this exception as E? Whatever type of that big chunk of lines we are getting here, all these lines, see now what type of exception I will get. See, only this much I will get, right? And this is done by this exception as E, this except part. Now, what is the flow here? How it is going on? What is happening here? See, when our Python code is trying to run this particular query, that Python code is getting some error, right? And that Python code, when that Python code is getting some error, what this try block will do? Yeah, suppose this is our particular code, and we have a try block, and we have a except block, right? Whenever you are inside a try block and you encounter any type of error, division by zero, index out of range, or key not found, key error in dictionary we have seen, right? All those type of error. What if any type of error or interruption in the flow of control, the execution is found? What this try except block will do? This try block will jump to the control flow. The execution will jump to except block, and whatever type of code you have written inside this except block, that code will be executed. Okay, there is one more thing that will be finally. Okay, but we are not discussing about finally here. We are only discussing about try and except. So after the execution of this block, if there is any type of error, we will follow this. The block will, the flow of control, the execution will jump to except block, right? Inside this except block, you can write whatever type of code you need to run to handle that particular exception. Okay, and after that, the flow of control will come back to our original code. Okay, now see what is the advantage of using this. See, I've written the uh, uh, yeah. So I've written the wrong spelling for print statement right here. So we will be getting an exception for this. Now, if I will do print hello, this print hello line will never get executed, right? See, I have we never get that print hello line. Okay, this is stuck at line number 16, and after that, no single line will be executed, right? But see, inside this try except block, sorry, yeah, inside this try except block, we are getting an error, right? But see how it will handle it. After that error, the next line of code is executed. We will get the next line of code. So this try except block will help you to execute or handle errors. Okay. Now after this, if you will put anything, so what is the advantage of using this? Where you can use this type of things? See, the first example is here, right? Whenever you are executing an query, always try to execute that inside a try except block. Okay. Whenever you are inside a particular database, right, closing connections or establishing connections, always try to put them inside a try catch block, try exit block. So let me go try. Then otherwise exit. In this case, I don't want to show any error. I just want to print failed to connect. Right. Okay. Inside this, see, if you are using try except, you should have the knowledge that in which place or in what type of exception you are getting. Where is the error? So if I am getting an error in this, I am pretty sure that either the cursor doesn't exist or the connection itself doesn't exist. Okay. Inside this except block, what I will try to do, if self.cursor is double equal to none, right? What we will do, if self.on is double equal to none, pass. If both are none, we don't want to do anything. But if we have connection, right, it means that there is a connection, established connection. We have to close that connection, right? So dot connection dot close. Okay. Inside this else, if we want to close the particular cursor. Okay, so there is no condition like this. If there is a connection, then only there can be a cursor, right? So there will be no condition where there is a cursor and no connection established. Because how you can create a cursor? A cursor will be always created by using a connection. Okay. Okay. That's it about guys the database connection and try except block. Right. We have seen about multiple things about projects also, virtual environments, all things. Always remember to close your virtual environment. Okay, I'm getting an exit, just do that. Yeah. So guys, just if you have any doubts, then put that on the chat, or otherwise we will close this session. Yeah, if you are having any doubt or anything, just try to reach me on LinkedIn, okay, for any queries, right? Otherwise, if you want to work on open source or any other Python project, right? I have some repositories for you. If you want to work on any of Python projects, right? You want to implement all those things. So we have, things- yeah, all these are mainly all of them are Python repositories, right? So just try to fork this repos, okay, if you want to work on them, and if you are facing any issues or if you are having any queries about those repo or what to implement and how to implement, then feel free to reach me, right? Okay, then.